The holographic projection flickered to life aboard the Zephyrian dreadnought Dominion's edge, casting an ethereal blue glow across the bridge. High Commander Vextar adjusted his ceremonial robes, savoring this moment he had orchestrated for months. Before him materialized the image of Admiral Sarah Chen, representing the pathetic human colony of New Harmony. "Admiral Chen," Vextar's voice resonated with practiced authority, "you have 7 standard cycles to comply with the hegemony's tribute demands. 10,000 tons of refined metals, 500 energy cores, and 2,000 of your strongest workers. This is not negotiable." Chen's expression remained stoic, though Vextar detected the slight tightening around her eyes. "Good." Fear was the first step toward submission. "And if we refuse?" Chen asked. Vextar's mandibles clicked in amusement. "Then New Harmony will become a cautionary tale for other colonies who forget their place in the natural order." The transmission ended, and Vextar leaned back in his command throne. The Zephyrian hegemony had conquered 17 star systems using this exact formula: overwhelming force, impossible demands, and the inevitable capitulation of lesser species. Humans were no different. 7 cycles later, as expected, no tribute ships appeared at the designated coordinates. Vextar wasn't disappointed. He preferred when they resisted. It made the conquest more satisfying. "Begin orbital bombardment of their primary settlements," he commanded. "Leave the mining facilities intact. We'll need them operational once we install a proper workforce." The first wave of plasma bolts streaked toward New Harmony's surface, their destructive light painting the planet's atmosphere in brilliant oranges and reds. Vextar watched with satisfaction as the bombardment commenced. That satisfaction lasted exactly 47 seconds. The space around New Harmony suddenly erupted with ships, not the crude vessels they'd observed during reconnaissance, but sleek, angular craft that seemed to materialize from nowhere. Their hulls bore no markings Vextar recognized, and their energy signatures were unlike anything in the hegemony's databases. "Sir?" His sensor officer's voice cracked with confusion. "I'm reading impossible power levels from those ships. Their reactors are outputting energy signatures comparable to small stars." Before Vextar could respond, space itself seemed to tear open. Massive vessels, each one dwarfing his dreadnought, slid through dimensional rifts like ancient sea monsters emerging from oceanic trenches. The newcomers' hulls weren't smooth metal but appeared to be constructed from some material that seemed to absorb light itself. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the bridge's stunned silence as communications crackled to life uninvited. "High Commander Vextar, I believe introductions are in order. These are representatives of the Terran Defense Coalition, what you might call humanity's extended family." One of the massive vessels moved forward, its presence somehow making the vacuum of space feel heavy with menace. "You demanded tribute," Chen continued, her voice now carrying an edge that made Vextar's scales prickle. "We're here to deliver it, though perhaps not in the form you expected." The lead human ship opened fire. What erupted from its weapons wasn't plasma or particle beams, but something far worse. Controlled tears in space-time that consumed matter at the quantum level. Where the beams struck Zephyrian vessels, the ships didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist, as if reality itself had forgotten they were ever there. "Impossible!" Vextar snarled, his command throne's armrest cracking under his grip. "No species has that level of technology." "You're right," Chen's voice carried dark amusement. "No single species does. But humanity has a peculiar trait, Commander. When threatened, we don't just fight, we unite, we adapt. We learn." More human ships materialized, each one representing technologies from different human colonies, different approaches to the same problem: how to make aggressive neighbors regret their choices. "The tribute you demanded, strength and resources, we're delivering it now. This is the strength of a species that refuses to kneel. These are the resources of a civilization that views freedom as non-negotiable." Vextar's fleet was being systematically dismantled. Ships that had terrorized dozens of worlds were being reduced to their component atoms by weapons that treated the laws of physics as mild suggestions. "But we're not monsters," Chen continued. "Your crews have escape pods, use them. Run back to your hegemony and deliver our counteroffer." What counteroffer?" Vextar whispered. "Every world you've enslaved, every tribute you've extracted, every life you've destroyed. We're here to collect interest. The Terran Defense Coalition hereby assumes responsibility for the protection of all species in this sector. Your reign of terror ends today." The Dominion's edge shuddered as something locked onto its hull. Not weapons, but some kind of tractor system that made movement impossible. You have 30 seconds to abandon ship, Commander. Then we demonstrate what happens when humans get creative with stellar engineering. As alarms screamed across his bridge and his crew scrambled for escape pods, Vextar caught a final glimpse of the human fleet. More ships were arriving through dimensional gates, each one representing another facet of humanity's ingenuity turned toward war. The last thing he saw before his escape pod jettisoned was the Dominion's edge being pulled into what looked like a miniature star, a controlled fusion reaction that would serve as both funeral pyre and warning beacon. As his pod fled toward the edge of the system, Vextar realized with growing horror that the hegemony hadn't encountered a primitive colony world. They had kicked a sleeping giant, and now that giant was very, very awake. Behind him, New Harmony's sun grew brighter as human engineers began their work, turning the star itself into a fortress that would guard this sector for centuries to come. The tribute had been delivered. Freedom and firestorms, exactly as promised.